When the fires came out in LA, it was terrifying for all of us as we watched the people run from their homes and take nothing. And um, you know, very quickly people were emailing me from teams. We were checking on each other, and I just realized immediately there was a need to help somewhere, somehow.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lane 1 Making Waves. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than episodes you may have watched or listened to in the past. Today, we are highlighting an incredible initiative to help give back to the swimmers and the families that have been impacted by the devastating fires out in LA. On today's call, we have Craig Eisenberg. Craig is the face behind the Swim Guy and is really spearheading the collaboration effort, working tirelessly to get these donations to these swimmers and these families in need. We also have Jack Hallahan. Jack is the publisher of Swimming World. Swimming World is donating a percentage of their proceeds to the fire relief efforts. We also have representatives from all of the top brands: JOLYN, Arena, TIR, FINIS, Speedo, SBR Sports, and TRISWIM. These brands have been collaborating with Craig, giving donations and making sure that these swimmers have a sense of normalcy in their lives and can get back in the water and back to competing. Tragedies unfortunately happen every day, and I hope that this episode really highlights the community of the swimming world and how we are all here to help. If you do feel inclined to donate, there will be a donation link at the end, or you are more than welcome to go to theswimguy.com, where there is a button in the middle of the webpage that will lead you to the donation site. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. We are going to jump right in. I want to take a moment to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to kind of come together and show the camaraderie of the swimming world and how we are all, at the end of the day, here to help. So Craig, you've been at the center of organizing these efforts. So can you share how all of this kind of came together and why it was so urgent for you to act?
When the fires came out in LA, it was terrifying for all of us as we watched the people run from their homes and take nothing. And very quickly people were emailing me from teams. We were checking on each other, and I just realized immediately there was a need to help somewhere, somehow. I don't know if it initially was from a swim standpoint, but it very quickly became a mission of what we could do, which was help the swim community, when I realized how many people have been affected or were affected by the fires and are still affected by the fires in LA.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a sight that I can't even imagine, and knowing that so many people were impacted by these fires and now trying to come together as a community to help. Each one of your brands has such a strong connection to the swimming community. Mondi, can you share what motivated you to kind of step in and support this effort? And was there a specific moment that you remember where you realized you had to act?
Yeah, so for me, the Eaton fire up in Altadena happened in my backyard, just 2 miles from where I live. So I know many people in the local swim and water polo community who lost or were displaced from their homes during the fire. And in fact, my local country club where I work out and swim and where my son swam, Summer League, was burnt to the ground. And so our local summer league has no season this year because they have no facility. And again, just having so many friends who were swimmers and water polo players at the summer league level, the club level, the masters level, who have lost their home, it was really overwhelming. And the first thing, in terms of what motivated me to really get involved, the first thing you do in this situation, being so close to it, is you just make sure everyone's okay. Did everyone make it out of the fires? Is everyone okay? The second thing was, does everyone have someplace to to live, either temporarily. Even people who didn't lose their homes can't get back into their homes if it was close to the fire because of all the fire damage in their homes. So people are either displaced for years or months. So making sure everybody has a place to live. I actually took in a water polo family for 2 weeks until they had a place to live. And thirdly is like, how can I help? So making sure people are okay, they have a place to live. And the third thing you think about is, oh my gosh, what can I do to help? And especially this swim water polo community. So that's kind of the minute, really days after the fire, I realized that JOLYN could help and should help. So we started reaching out to local clubs, the Rose Bowl Aquatic Club, high schools, and then Craig reached out. And I am so thankful for the swim guys, Craig and Michael, because what they did is took on a really large task of getting, product for all swimmers, whether it's, swimsuits, tech suits, equipment, together from all the different brands and bringing the community together to help them. So that's kind of my story. And really, again, thanking the swim guys so much for their help.
Having it kind of hit so close to home, it's kind of surreal, and realizing that, yeah, we're all swimmers, but at the end of the day, we're all people too. It's not just our community that was impacted, it was everyone. And I mean, not only the people that were directly impacted by the fires, but families and support systems and communities, everyone, even if you didn't live in California, it has touched you in some manner. Joe, what was your motivating factor? What kind of caused you to step in, and was there a specific moment for you?
Yeah, so I live in Texas, so I'm 1,500 miles away from everything. And so I'm watching all this on the news and on the computer, and, it just looks horrible. It's terrible. I'm talking to Michael, and I said, is it really as bad as it looks? Because, you never know. And Michael's like, it's so much worse. It's so much worse than you can even imagine. I've been here my whole life, and I don't even know how to explain. I said, what does that mean? And he said, there are 900 families that belong to the temple I go to. 600 families lost their homes. Geez, that just takes your breath away. So that immediately you just say, what can we do to help? What do you need? Where does it need to go? Where do we ship it? And so, to everyone's point here, we're so grateful to the swim guy to become the gatekeepers, to be the leaders and the adults to tell us what we need to do and where we need to send things.
It's absolutely amazing to see how Craig and the community has come together. As it's seen, Craig, you work closely with each one of these brands to get donations to the families. Can you share a little bit about how that coordination is happening and the impact you see it having on athletes right now?
I was blown away by the just the answers I got when I called, every major company that I work with. The answer was yes, we'll figure it out. How yes. The answer is yes, and we need to think this, process through. Each manufacturer took it upon themselves, or we kind of broke up what we needed as far as suits and hard goods and mesh bags and backpacks, and we kind of divided and conquered and asked certain manufacturers for certain things. And it became very clear very quickly that it was going to be more than just a job, that it was inundating. I had to rent a storage locker. I had a lot of product coming in. I also run my business. But we had to separate, and we had to figure out how to get the product to the swimmers and their families in a way that was not inundating. Like most of these people have been through a lot. They don't have permanent houses yet. A lot of them are staying in other places. So my thought process initially was, let's just get them everything and they'll be great. And then it became, let's get them exactly what they need so they can get back in the water, get some normalcy back in their life. If they've moved teams, which many have, because their old facilities are burnt, let's get them their team suits. So many of the donations that have come from the manufacturers here have gone to people just walking in the store and saying, I have nothing. And we're like, here's a JOLYN swimsuit. Here's here's a snorkel. Here's a arena mesh bag. Here's a goggle. Like, just get back into the water and we'll deal with it. So initially at the Santa Monica store, that's where a lot of people started to come. in the weeks prior. People have now made it way from Altadena to my store like this weekend. People have shopped here. People who knew about us, people have seen my Instagram posts, came and I've heard their stories. And now we're kind of in the mode of getting exactly what they need. Meaning, it's fantastic to have a kickboard by one manufacturer, but if your team uses another, I need to get them that. So we've raised money, we've raised awareness, and people are willing to help us get the actual uniforms back into those kids' hands. And we've done this through the coaching staff, through the parents, moms. We're not talking to the individual people because they're so inundated with everything else in their life. And we're just showing up with the package with everything they need.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, I mean, getting a sense of normalcy kind of back to the community is what is so needed. I mean, they're impacted in so many different ways besides just swimming. I mean, kind of as we're mentioning, but bringing the sport back to their lives, to get them competing again, to get them in their team suits so that they're comfortable is truly amazing, and it's going to go a long way in these athletes' lives. Jack, Swimming World is donating a percentage of your subscription proceeds to this cause. Could you talk a little bit about why this initiative is so important to your publication and also the community?
Of course. Thanks, Summer. Yeah, I think for Swimming World, I mean, we look at the sport across the globe, obviously, but when we see things happening like LA right in our backyard and see the devastation around it and really personalize that to understanding what does it feel like to be a parent of a teen who just lost their pool and their ability to swim, or maybe they didn't lose the pool, but they lost all of their belongings or their equipment. It really, and for that matter, the coaches, it goes on and on. In fact, it even goes to the beaches and the lifeguards. I mean, it's pretty widespread. It hits open water. It hits triathletes. It hits everybody that is part of the aquatic community, divers as well. And so when we saw what was happening, actually the first thing we did was we covered the Gary Hall Jr. Story and broke it around how sadly he lost all of his 10 Olympic medals. His entire place burned down, as did everyone else's in the area. So we put that story together, and that's when I thought, we should put together a fundraiser on our end, where if you buy a subscription to Swimming World, 30% of the proceeds would go to the LA Fire Fund. And then I found out about Craig and the Swim Guy and what they were doing. And so we put a second effort in around that to highlight what was happening with Fire Aid, the concert that was thrown together pretty quickly, but was absolutely amazing. And we put a story together around Fire Aid to raise awareness around how artists were getting involved, but then dropped in, the Swim Guy and the routines that everyone on this podcast have been a part of. And what I mean by routines, the efforts and the execution that has been going on around helping that community. So we see it as something we'll always look to do, feeling as if we represent the sport and the community.
As we've kind of touched on, it's more than just swimmers who have been impacted by the devastation of these fires. I think we've calculated about 450, although I'm sure the number is much, much higher, of age group swimmers that have been directly impacted by these fires. But this isn't to mention high school swimmers, masters swimmers, water polo players, coaches, and families that have also been displaced. So Craig, what are some of the immediate needs that you have seen? And I know you've touched on it a little bit, but how are these donations that you have been receiving directly meeting these needs?
So I guess, up until now, we have really, those 450 people you're talking about, we've addressed. We've addressed practice gear. We've addressed all the stuff that they need to really get back in the water. Now we are working on two aspects of rebuilding. One, became apparent to me is the mental health of the master swimmer that comes in the store that has been devastated, that doesn't have a pool, that just feels like, they can't get back to the water. And we've been reaching out saying, we go to meets every weekend. If we're in your area, please come. Last week when we were at the Rose Bowl, please come, take what you need, get back in the water. And that's going to be the longer play, the longer term mental health, community-based swim project that we're going to take on. And then as far as the suits, some of the manufacturers have absolutely stepped up and donated the team suits back, in which we've had logoed and the fins. So they're back together. The biggest hurdle I'm having now is custom parkas, because they're very expensive. And some of these teams have, been wearing the same parka for years. And I just don't think the parents or the kids feel guilty asking for a $250 parka, and the parents don't have the bandwidth of getting one. So I'm trying to figure out a way that we can raise money. We can work with our custom parka people, because the two major teams that lost everything have custom parkas, and they walked out of the door without their parkas. So, and they're expensive. So I'm trying to raise funds to buy parkas so we can seamlessly give them back that item. And it's a big item. It's not a pair of goggles.
I'm based in Florida, and so there are so many things that have been lost that you don't even think about. So someone walked away from this fires without a home. They walked away without anything, without goggles, as you said, without a parka. So it's almost unfathomable to kind of realize all of these items that now we as a swimming community, we really need to kind of get behind so that we can bring that sense of normalcy back to high school swimming, back to age group swimming, back to these masters swimmers. And it's going to be a long effort. And so the swimming community, we are known for our unity. And so, Larry, how have you seen that unity in action through this crisis? And what have you observed in terms of how your brand, athletes, and other organizations are supporting one another?
Yeah, I think, and it's a great question, Summer. I think the thing that we've all talked before and basically know everybody on the call, and ones I haven't, it's been great to get to know them. I think the understanding is that it's a really small community, right? If you think about sports, and everybody on this call loves the sport. So unlike most sports where you're doing it because it's a job, I think everybody here has a swimming background or has fallen in love with swimming, appreciates how hard the athletes, coaches, staffs, volunteers all work to pull off every meet, association, diving, water polo, master, age group, learn to swim. I think it requires an army to move it. And when something devastates somebody like this, devastated a group of people, we've talked about the master problem. And Craig, that's a great point about the mental health issues. We've talked about water polo players and age group, high school, all of that. Then there's the learn to swim program. So now parents who would get a couple of hours in a pool at some place in there that would be doing lessons, they don't have a way to do that. So the avenue that I've seen and most impressed with is that basically everybody on the call, all the brands saying, okay, whatever you need, just let us know and we'll take care of it. Helping our own. I think, if you look at it like a family, my dad always used to say, the only people that will help you through your whole life are sitting at this table. And that was the family. So if you look at it like one whole family, the people that will help us are sitting on the screens with us right now. If we can all step forward and continue to make this dedicated push for as long as needed, not just in the short term. We talked about this. The people that were affected and so on and so forth, all the people that are affected will at least have a safe haven, to be in a space with us that they can feel like the water's a safe zone. It'll give some normalcy. Craig pointed that out. It'll give some mental health break to take your mind off it and to swim on the line, to follow the black dot line through the water and not think about how bad or how much you've been displaced. It's an area where I think whatever team you've gone to, however you're getting to the water, it will make it feel great. As long as, and I think I'm really impressed by all of the brands and all of the people, Swimming World, everybody stepping in to say, this is important, and it's important for as long as it needs to be, not just a one-time effort, because this is going to last for years, not days.
Yeah, and thank you for that answer. We are all family. At the end of the day, it took maybe 20 minutes to get everyone to agree to be on this call today, because everyone does want to help our family. And it is truly inspiring to see this whole community come together to support our own. Jack, Swimming World has a long history of also supporting the swimming community. So what impact do you hope this initiative will have on the broader swimming community moving forward?
Yeah, I feel like great question. I think the broader community, I thought about this when I reached out to you, Summer, and said, would you be interested in helping do a podcast, given that you're in Florida? And the point being, yes, this happened, it made national news, but it starts to become more of a regional experience, and then it becomes more or less something that people within the region are thinking about, but it can lose its momentum across the U.S. And I was thinking about it where you live, when hurricanes happen and how devastating they are, and we all do our part initially, and then there's this, sort of, I call it sort of a natural fade. I think what we want to do here, and my goal is to try to continue and extend the presence and the awareness of what's happening with the LA fires, number one. And then number two is to just start training our community to be philanthropic, to be ready, to be thinking about how they can pay it forward and give back. So as a content provider, I'd like to continue to think about what's happening, where we can create the connection to everyone, where we can also share the victories, and I think that's the other important thing about this initiative, is the ability for us over the next several, weeks and months to come back and let people know, hey, you are making a difference. Here's what's happening. Here's how you made a difference. So continuing down that path.
Yeah, and I mean, as you mentioned, it does kind of fade, unfortunately, in the minds of someone. It's not on your direct TV. Instances of devastations and crisis unfortunately happen, in my opinion, way too often. But having this support and this community to come together for the longevity, for whatever it takes, not just now but in the future, is so vital and so important. And during a time of crisis, the swimming community can rely on the support of brands such as your all's. So Larry, what does it mean to you to help these athletes get back to training and competing?
Yeah, so I think Jack hit on a very interesting point, Summer, and I think you summed it up pretty well. This is one moment in one page of one chapter of one book of a problem. Brian and I, over the course of our lives, and I don't have a long-standing relationship with all of you, but Craig, Brian, and I have dealt with hurricanes in Florida, unfortunate passing of athletes, and stepping into crisis is something that I think is expected of people that actually care about a situation. And in the swimming world, I think Jack's point of really could be a jumping off point to how do we deal with crisis when they come up around the globe, around the U.S., and how do we step into when there's a hurricane, a tornado, or something that fires that devastated. I think the interesting part to me is I hope this is not something that's a one and done, that this team can stay together, that we can form a committee. I think of losing my brother 9/11 in towers to tunnel the towers, and how they now help all sorts of stuff when police officers and firefighters and first responders go down. There's help there. And I think the bottom line is people need a lot of help today. It's not as easy to navigate the waters. And Craig did a great job of starting this with the team that's represented on the screen. And I think the bottom line is, to me, I'd be most proud of not only the work we do today, but to look back 10 years from now and figure out all the work we've done. Because if we feel good about what we're doing today and can help a group of people today, there's lots of groups of people that need help for different reasons. And we'd love to see this community continue to support swimming, the athlete, the family, the learn to swim process, all that, the masters from cradle to grave, by continuing to realize that the problems will continue, and how do we grasp all the problems and have some sort of this group to move forward and go through the process together, so that we're not alone in it and they're not alone in it.
Yeah, and I mean, the name of the game is unity and collaboration and support. I mean, we're all here to support one another, no matter what we are going through now or what we will go through in the future. And Karen, what does it mean to you to bring a sense of normalcy back to these athletes' lives, to get them competing again and back in the water?
It means everything. And I have to apologize for my voice because I have laryngitis right now. But it was really important for me to be on this podcast. So, in the past, when the Ukraine war happened, we have a headquarters for our European headquarters is in Poland. And so we jumped into action to get all of those Ukrainian kid swimmers into homes in Poland that were used to swimmers and that could, keep a sense of normalcy for them. So we worked with a lot of coaches over in Poland, and they opened up their homes, or we had hosted families as well. So that was with the Ukraine. And then when the fires happened in Lahaina in Maui, my family is from Maui. And so it was really important for us to reach out and help. And so what we did was we helped the Lahaina Swim Club, and we raised money by selling swim caps. And we sent $40,000 to the Lahaina Swim Club. So that leads me to the fires in LA. It's very close. It's like in our backyard. We're in Southern California as well. But when Craig reached out to us, of the swim guy, it was a no-brainer for us. I mean, we had to help. And so what we did was we donated 600 units of our TRISWIM shampoo and body wash. And, just to help the kids, with their equipment, because that's what they needed. They lost all their equipment in their homes. I know it sounds silly, shampoo, body wash, but, as we know, as for swimmers, you are suffering from, the chlorine. And so it helps, keep them comfortable. So, going to your question about, just why we wanted to donate and or help out, it was really to keep the kids in a normal state of mind. They lost everything. And so if we can help in just a little bit for some normalcy for them, then all the more better. And, little bit here and there. And it keeps them, doing what they love. And their minds all things. Yeah.
It's amazing to see your support, not only with the LA fires, but also with other crises that have happened in the past. I mean, the support for Maui, the support out in Poland, it really shows how much you care about the swimming community as a whole. And now supporting these LA fires, I mean, like you said, these swimmers, they lost absolutely everything. So nothing is too small to donate, especially to get these swimmers in the right headspace. And so it's obvious that Craig working with these brands has been a very powerful collaboration. So how have their contributions directly impacted the families and the swimmers that you're seeing walk into your store on a day-to-day basis?
I'd first like to say, someone used the analogy of home. The swim community is a very small community. And although there's individual sport, when you see swimmers at a meet or you see swimmers talk from different teams, there's a family. And the word home, which Larry just alluded to, is, when you walk into our store and we have the support of every major manufacturer at our back, and some that aren't even sitting here, who've also said yes, it's a sense of, we got you, you're home. So I just wanted to address that because I can't give them back their house. We can't give them, we can't, all we can do is say, this is your community and you are home and we have resources to help you, and please accept it seamlessly. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would call up Brian or Larry or Karen or Monday and say, I'm an individual store owner. so I can get things done. I swept the front this morning. I'll also do payroll. So these are major companies that I'm calling and asking. Never did I ever imagine that the yes turned into what can we do and how fast can we get it there. So like in one example, one of the manufacturers donated 700 goggles, but they didn't donate goggles that the kids didn't want. They donated goggles that were the number one selling goggle. I mean, a very highly sold goggle. And it made people so happy. You know, another brand gave out swimsuits that were not, you know, an off-brand swimsuit. Like, to see someone's face, a lifeguard that comes in that has lost everything in Malibu, and you don't have to say, nah, you can take whatever you want. Really? This is my job. I swam in high school. The donations that they have given have created boxes of love that we sent out to every high school, to every team, to every club. We've taken the lists initially and put in all the things we think they need just to get, and then followed it up with a phone call, and then asked for more, and then we're tweaking it and getting more. It's really incomprehensible of what the gifts are to the people that have got them. I mean, we haven't said no to anybody, and everybody is kind of like, wow. And it's not just the swim guy, it's the swim community. It's their home. And I really convey that on deck. And you can feel that. You can see it when you come to the store. There's so many other brands. There's so much of it that it's just not a regular swim store. It's an out for display. It's for people to take. And it's been incredible. And I thank every one of you.
Even throughout this discussion, I mean, you can hear the passion and the collaboration that is ongoing. And as you said, the word no I've never seen it when organizing this panel or through these relief efforts. It's never been no. It's been, okay, this is what we need. How can we get there? And the answer will be yes. And so obviously the immediate needs of these impacts or of these athletes have been significant. So Joe, what kind of feedback have you received from athletes in the community?
You know, there's so many stories, and I'm sure that Michael and Craig can write a novelette. But one that Michael shared that just really touches my heart is not very many days after all of this, a dad comes in with his two kids to the Santa Monica store. And, you know, he's rattled. He's lost his home. He's got his two kids. He doesn't know their size. His wife's birthday was the day before. He'd forgotten his wife's birthday, and he's bawling, crying in the store. And Michael's helping him out with everything that his kids need. And this man at his lowest is so thankful. I mean, how do you not want to help someone that is so thankful at their very lowest? Touches my heart every time. Of course, we want to help these families.
Yeah, and I mean, we all may swim on different teams, right? But we're all part of, at the end of the day, the same team. And Craig, how do you plan to help these swimmers in the long term? I know collaboration with these brands and the donations from the swimming community are extremely important and very helpful. But what do you foresee for the next steps in recovery, and how can us as the swimming community, how can we stay involved?
So we're categorizing the items we have, like I said before, to the recreational, the master swimmer, the age grouper that just fell out of swimming and is going to come back in a year. So we have to make sure there's some reserves in place, and so we can continue to help them. So I am categorizing suits, goggles, hard goods, parkas that people just need. And like I said, we have a storage facility, and as the need comes up, we are going to pull, and we're going to make sure that this keeps on going for as long as we can. I think it blows an adult's mind because they're thinking about their child, usually not themselves, when they feel included. FINIS is a company that really serves the masters community. And, we went to FINIS and asked them for stuff that masters would want. So we're kind of holding back on some of that stuff because the masters are coming. And I get so many requests on Instagram because I'm so active on Instagram, and then maybe it's a little bit more informal and they feel comfortable asking. And like, that's an amazing thing. So going forward, like I said, my biggest concern is being able to afford the custom parkas, because we're going to have to replace about 200 custom parkas coming up, and that's going to be expensive. We've taken care of 3 or 4 major teams and replaced everything. New parka, new backpack, new swimsuit, new goggles, new fins, their uniform, through donations and money. So going forward, I guess it's just, really a mental health campaign for master swimmers, in that they're gonna surface and we're gonna be there. And Michael and I are being very careful of the reserves, what we have, what we need to give out, how we're going to give it out, and then people are still giving. People still want to help. They get it, but like was said at the beginning of this video, it's out of the TV, it's out of sight, it's out of mind. The next story is playing, but not in my store, not in Santa Monica, not for Pasadena and locking out. It's just not. Like, a beautiful woman came in yesterday, a doctor, and she lost everything. And she sat and talked to me for an hour, and the emotional aspects of where her kid is going, what's going to affect her. We walked out. She didn't even know she walked out of the store with all free stuff. It just happened. And it was an amazing feeling. And it was in part of everybody that's on this podcast. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I can't give away everything for free from my small brick and mortar store. It just can't happen. So I once again appreciate everybody on this call.
As you said, it is an ongoing effort. Just because it's off the screen, it's going to continue to impact these swimmers and these families and this community for the foreseeable future. And so, Monday, what role do you think the swimming community as a whole can play in supporting these athletes long after the fire's impact? And how do you see your role in helping athletes stay motivated and positive during this challenging time?
Yeah, this is a really important question you're asking. When I think, every swimmer is impacted no matter what level, from masters down to learn to swim. But where I'm really concerned is with that high school athlete or middle school athlete who has already gone through COVID, right? So they went through this period in their life where they had to have Zoom classes and they weren't able to get into the pool and swim. And then really relatively not that much later, there's a fire. They've lost their homes. They've been displaced from their homes. These are 2 major events for a young person to deal with. And it really, I think, changes the perspective of the world during these really early fundamental years. And I think we all, from coaches to parents to the brands, need to understand that these are significant impacts for these kids, and we need to give them time, and it's going to take time. So, a coach may see a kid skipping a practice or acting out in some way, and same with teachers. Or maybe you're a parent of a child who has a friend who is impacted by the fires, and let these children act out the way they need to get through their grief, because this is a major loss. They're going to have a grieving process and go through the grieving steps. So people need to be aware of that even 6 months, even 9 months from now, after the event has taken place, there's still emotional impact of those, of that event. And so give that kid space to heal and have that understanding that that child needs to heal. And I think this is going to be tough for coaches, especially because this is something they've never gone through before, having so many kids having gone through this loss. And how do you help these kids through it? And I would ask anybody listening to this podcast who is a parent or a coach or in the community with these kids to give them space, to have compassion and understanding, and to know if they see behavior shifting, it's really an impact of this loss they've experienced. And in the long term, I really, really appreciate what Larry said earlier. This is completely unscripted, but looking at long term, what can we all do to help these kids and these families and even the master swimmers? Do we continue to have this organization that's part of USA Swimming and Swimming World that has like the Fireman's Fund or these other funds that we help to drive to have aid to act that these kids, and again, I say kids because I feel like there's the ones that are most impacted because of the age group that they are in, but that they can draw on these funds to access whatever sort of resources they need, and that we don't stop here with the fires. We keep this ongoing and create a fund that all swimmers and water polo players and any aquatic athlete can draw from. And I'd really love to, again, this is completely unscripted, but put that out there just because of what Larry said earlier. It's so true. What impact can we have as brands coming together to help all swimmers ongoing, whether you lost your home to a fire, maybe you lost a parent and the other parent can't pay for the fees of swimming. Like, how can we support the overall community as brands and as publications ongoing? I just feel like that's important, and I would love to see that happen. And I'm signing up if anybody else is on board. But Larry, it was your idea, so you get all the credit there.
No, I think that's something that everyone would be on board for. And as you said, time is such a huge aspect in this, giving everyone time to recover and their space, because obviously everyone is going to react and cope differently to things that have happened to them within their life. And so, John, what role do you think the swimming community can play in supporting athletes long after the fire's impact has passed? And how do you see your role in helping athletes stay motivated and positive?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think so much of it almost becomes redundant because we are all saying the same thing. Specifically, I think of empathy, and I think our swimming community does have empathy. I think that, with the outreach that we got and having the swim guy as that home base for us to work with, it's not just the LA fires. As Monty said, there's going to be all sorts of tragedies that happen in people's life. I know that we all do this, and we should encourage, not just in our roles of in the swimming community, but in all walks of life. We got to put ourselves in their shoes. We don't know how good or bad of a day somebody's having, and we need to take time to listen with empathy and embrace that opportunity to add to that mental health of whatever they're going through. So the struggles of this fire, they're so real, and we've got the swim guy acting as that home to facilitate with empathy. How can we help these people? And the other part of that question was to motivate, and I think we all know that the water brings mental wellness, whether you're a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 40 or 50-year-old. Like, there's a reason we go to the water, and it does bring mental wellness. So I think, the motivation factor is to encourage people. It's not about getting on the podium. It's about, finding your mental wellness in the water and know that this is a caring community, and we're there supporting it, and it doesn't go away.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, this is a caring community, and it's really seen that this is a community effort. Brian, what message would you like to send to swimmers, families, and coaches who are still recovering? What encouragement do you have to those who are affected by the fires?
Thank you. I would say it's a lot of the same. I mean, I feel like first and foremost, if we are doing those things, I'm in personally. Speedo's in to be able to support. I think it's a really good idea from Larry and Monty just to be able to support that. That's one of those things that, again, it's while we're obviously focused and talking about the wildfires, there is so much more. If it's the hurricanes that came through in Florida, summer that I think some of the teams and areas might have been affected by, but I feel like those are the things that allow us to make sure that we are supporting. I would agree with what John just said as well. I think that there is that mental health aspect of being in, on, and around the water, and making sure that if we look for those moments to be able to step away from just the stress or pressure or anything else, and if that's surfing, if it's stand-up paddleboarding, if it is just sitting on the beach, to be able to do that, It's a mental way for all of us to be able to move away and to kind of recalibrate, readjust, and really do something that most of us are very passionate about. But I think as it relates to competitive swimming, I think there's an aspect that I think one of those things that what I've heard is, you know, that person, what I want them to know is that they're not alone, that we're here for them, and that, you know, if it's using the swim guy as a home base to be able to go get that product, that's important. If there's ways to be able to reach out to other areas, let's figure out how to be able to do that as well. So that, you know, it's as easy as it possibly can be for really anyone to be able to do those things. Because I think it is, again, about that swimmer, what they need and what they're most comfortable with whenever it is. Because we've heard it, we've said it. It's about right now. It's about a month from now. It's about 2 months. It's about a year from now, and how we can continue to support and show up for those swimmers.
And John, what message would you like to send to swimmers, families, and coaches, and what encouragement do you have for those affected by the fires?
Sure. Going back to the home, you know, our team dealer network, they are the home for everyone in their community. You know, as brands, we're a brand that are doing our best to make the brand available, but it wouldn't be possible without Craig and Michael and the swim guy. You know, all of us brands, we have a seat at his table. All of the community has a seat at his table. This is the welcoming spot. So, you know, if you're in the swimming community, you've got to find the people that are taking care of you day in and day out. That's what home's all about. So, you know, to the point of, you know, this bigger group, I'm sure we all do it independently. I received a call from my partner in Poland when the Ukraine war started. He said, John, we need to help these kids that are coming over the border. They're coming here to swim. And I said, you take care of them, I'll take care of you. You know, that's their home. And I just think that we, you know, this group of brands on the call today, Summer with your help and Craig and Jack, you know, I just think you know, go back to the word of home and family and community. That's what ties us all together. Encourage people that, you know, we are there to support each other. That's it. That's the message. We're not going away. We will always support people in need.
Well, I'm speechless just listening and hearing to everyone speak today and everyone's answers. And, you know, you're all such strong leaders in the swimming industry. Brian, how do you feel this initiative reflects the resilience and strength of the community? And if you have one, what has been one of the inspiring stories you've seen throughout this recovery process?
I think it's first really important to start with that word community, because I feel like, again, we've all hinted at it, we've all said it, we've all been touched by it. I don't know if I can choose one story, truthfully. I mean, I've had those conversations with Craig, and I think we've recounted some of them, of people walking into his store almost, you know, just shell shocked by losing everything and not knowing what to do, and just looking for, again, help, or, you know, some understanding of like what they might need and direction. And I think that's where you get to a point of being able to understand some of it. I live in Hermosa Beach, so it's, you know, probably 15 miles away from the Palisades. And thankfully, my community immediately was not affected. But I feel like part of it is it's almost the secondary, in the aspect that so many of the people, and I think you probably see this in other areas, have started to basically, you know, find places to live and migrate. And they're moving from where that affected area is to other places. And that could be the South Bay, that could be, you know, further, you know, north, wherever it might be. I think those are the types of things that really inspire the conversations I have with, you know, families that are now part of my immediate community and are, you know, within swimming and are at Alpha or Beach Cities, or some of those ones that I know off the top of my head, but those are the ones that are there and they have moved to. And I look at it from that standpoint to say, you know, how do we make sure that, and I think we've responded really well to that immediate need through Craig. I think probably some of us have also donated through USA Swimming and Southern California Swimming. I think there is the aspect of what we have to continue to do for those kids that have migrated, for them to find places. And for them, it might be, again, just getting product through their team. And how do we make that as easy as possible? I also know that there's the donation that we'll more than likely talk about, but I think those are places that make it the most, I don't just philanthropic, the most genuine in terms of what we can do. But I think everyone's story is unique. I think everyone's story is their own. And it's one of those things that if we have the ability to figure that out, to John's point, listen, be empathetic in what we do and how we can understand and support them with whatever their needs are. That's what I truly feel like we're here to do. And I think that's the community that we've set up just, to help them. I think this is a community that's helping another community.
Absolutely. And I mean, to everyone listening, hopefully there's the key takeaways of community support, resiliency, strength. And as we've said, that you're never alone. If you need help, help will come. And we're all here to support that initiative. So a big thank you to Craig for being the spearhead for this donation and this relief effort. And also a big thank you to every one of these brands that are on the call and the ones that were not able to make it, for helping kind of give a sense of normalcy to our community that has been impacted by these swimmers. And so if anyone listening is inclined to donate, Craig, could you kind of touch on where they would be able to help give back on your website?
On the landing page of the website, there is a button that you can click to help. And the donations go directly to helping the specific families. I just want to also mention that Southern California Swimming and USA Swimming has set up a fund worth mentioning, that if anybody has been displaced or has lost their home, contact them. They have quite a bit of money ready to go to help pay for fees for swimming, for clubs, and you just reach out to the Southern California Swimming. Also, there is some mental health offices in the Burbank area that I know of that are seeing people for free. There's a lot of people out there that want to help. So we can go back to your question. Swimming World Magazine is donating a high percentage of their sales back to the fire relief program. The swimguide.com has a button on it that you can donate to. I know the Rose Bowl directly has a button that is also, they just want to take care of all the fees for the people that have lost everything. So they have their own organization that's set up. It's more than just me. It's more than just you. It's everybody. It's getting resources together. And that kind of seems to be my gig. I know everybody for some reason, but giving back so we can keep this forward to the next tragedy, or like a family, something else is going to come up and I want to be there, especially if it's my family, and you guys are my family and I appreciate everything. The way the donations came in were so vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
You had, in the Masters community, you had every member of a Masters team sending a check for $25. In some of the age group clubs, as far as Rancho Santa Margarita, they send a team check. Irvine sent a swim league check. Everybody did their own thing and everything was amazing. But the most touching thing for me was watching $25, add up to almost $20,000. So for that, I was blown away. And I have to say that I aligned myself with a woman who has a mental health campaign called The Giving Purpose, which is, she's a one-woman show, and her entire mission is to spread the message, you are enough. And she's been amazing. She's let me use her nonprofit. She's paid the bills to do this, and I couldn't have done it without Kathy. She's just a silent hero. But when you drive down the street in the South Bay, you can see a sign that just says, you are enough. So it's going to turn into a mental health campaign. And I think we should stick behind that for a little bit too, because it's a great message. And I just fell into meeting her and her helping me, because I'm not a nonprofit. So I just wanted that to be said, that the ways the donations came in were just absolute. Customers writing a check at the desk, adding $10 to a sale, people that I haven't seen for 20 years, family members, crazy, really, really brought home, home.
Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. And I mean, every donation contributes, every donation helps, no matter how big or how small, no matter if it's financial or if it's just positive affirmations and words of encouragement. I mean, we're all here to support one another. So,
Or Summer, can I add to that last comment you just made with a quick screen share? I think this might
Yeah.
be interesting. I've been in discussions with the USA Swimming LSC here in NorCal, the Pacific Swimming Group, and the Marine Aquatics director, coach there, Don Henry, and I were talking, and he said, "Wait, what's going on with fundraising, and how are you trying to help the LA fires?" And when I brought it up to him, he said, "Oh, interesting. Well, we do a lot of philanthropy here through Marine Aquatics through his club." So he asked me to build a special subscription opportunity that they could push forward. So this is a good extension of the idea. I think this just shows that there's this top-down approach where at Swimming World we have, banner ads that are running talking about donating to the swim guy. But here's a good example of where an actual, local club here in Northern California is looking to see how they can help reach out. And this is in the works right now, but I think it's just a great example for anyone who's listening to the podcast to say, hey, well, we can also at our club level create a donation that benefits, kind of a win-win.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, so something I thought about based on what Jack and you were saying, Summer, and Craig said, and all of you. I think the idea of giving in challenging times is challenging for some people. I want to remind everybody that once in your life, you will be in a situation where you need something, at least once in your life. Sometimes it's more sensationalized, the fires, hurricanes, 9/11, whatever it is. And other times it's more personal. So if you could give, and you can give, please give, because these people are in desperate need. You see the devastation. Craig said it was, I've been through the area now. It's twice as big as I thought, and I thought it was massive. It's everything. It's bizarre how one house stands and there's thousands that are not there. But I think if you can give, the giving is the part that makes the healing process start. And I think the bottom line is the people, even though you think you have a good handle on it, it's still a loss. And it's a loss that goes on forever and ever. So I just think that if you can remember that one time in your life, either in the past, in the current, or in the future, this could affect you. And how would you like to be remembered? I think it keeps us all on the same page.
Thank you, Larry.
I just want to take this opportunity to really thank the people that stepped up. Arena, Speedo, Tier, JOLYN, FINIS, SBR Shampoo, TRISWIM, and even Nike, who wasn't on the call today, sent me suits for some aquatic swimmers, and a small little brand called Snake and Pig that even heed the call. So thank you, all of those brands. I really want to say a big thank you and appreciation.
So I hope everyone enjoyed that discussion. I know I was truly inspired by all of the responses from everyone that was on the call today. It really just brought a sense of camaraderie, brought a sense of community, and shows what swimming is all about. So as Craig said, I am going to list the links here where you can donate to these fire relief efforts. But if you can't donate, as I said, just sending encouraging messages, donating where you can, and just giving support and love to our community is truly needed and will go a very long way. So as always, a huge thank you to the International Swim Coaches Association, ISCA. Without their support, this podcast would not be possible. And also a huge shout out to Swimming World for bringing all of these people together. A huge shout out to Craig for spearheading these efforts and making sure that no one is alone throughout these efforts. So stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I have some exciting things coming up. Catch you next time.